So Tinyiko, thank you so much for making time to share your insights into the future of leadership.
Thank you so much for having me.
Most welcome. Before we walk into the future, Tinyiko, can you please tell us, where did you grow up?
Okay, so I grew up in Midrand, Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's obviously central between Johannesburg and Pretoria. And I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that. But then early on in my years, I did live a little bit in Tembisa before then moving to Midrand.
And tell us, what was your dream career when you grew up?
Sure. So what my dream career was, I wanted to be a chartered accountant. So hence why I studied accounting sciences and I got into the finance field. However, due to financial constraints, I didn't, after getting my undergrad, I didn't study further to get a postgraduate degree to follow the CA route. So then I just decided to get into corporate South Africa and to get a job as an accountant.
And tell us, Tinyiko, who inspired you in your early days?
Who inspired me in my early days? Funny enough, it was my mother, who was a teacher at the time. So she basically inspired me in the sense that she's always inspired me to basically follow my dreams. But my dream was naturally sparked by my aunt, who was working in the banking sector at the time. And I didn't understand what banking was, but I knew that numbers was something that I wanted to pursue.
Right. Now, you're the founder of GirlCodeZA. You are one of the inspiring leaders, South Africa, the top 200. Can you tell us, looking back over your career, your young career, was there a turning point maybe where things could have gone different?
I think the turning point in my career, I would say when I started working for a tech company.
Yeah.
And we started then hosting our hackathons on weekends. And I started then coming back to work on a Monday and not feeling as fulfilled. You know, as much as I loved finance and working in finance was one of my dreams, I got to a point where it wasn't fulfilling me as much as doing GirlCode work. So the turning point for me was at that point when I realized that changing lives was really my purpose and using my skills to better the lives of others and upskill them with skills of the future.
Now, Tinyiko, today, GirlCode is a national initiative. Can you maybe share, what is the future? What does the future hold for GirlCode?
Wow, the future is quite big, especially because we have pivoted a lot of our programs and they're now online. So the aim is to obviously grow our presence in the province as well as branch out into other provinces and grow our presence not only in South Africa, but in Africa as well, and ensure that no girl is left behind, whether in South Africa or in Africa as a whole.
So Tinyiko, what would you say is driving you today?
Sure, what drives me is my passion. I've always had a passion to, help others, to change lives, and just knowing, that I've changed someone's life and my job contributes towards changing someone's life for the better every day is what keeps me going. And also hearing stories from our beneficiaries, knowing that they're in great jobs, some of them are overseas, just knowing that we've afforded them those opportunities that have basically helped them to even help their own families.
Now, looking into the future, Tinyiko, and I know it's a big question, but what does the future of leadership mean to you?
The future of leadership means inclusivity for us, basically a world where, leadership is both male and females aren't as underrepresented as they currently are. But also the future of leadership is the youth. I really believe that, the power lies with the youth, and the youth, as much as obviously the youth unemployment is so high in this country, but, the future does lie with the youth of this country because of our skills and capabilities and the very big dreams that we have for this wonderful country of ours.
And Tinyiko, tell us, what have you learned from your own journey that you consider most important for building, empowering, and enabling future leaders?
For me, what I've learned is that, knowledge is power, and you need to use your knowledge to empower others, and also remember to pay it forward. I think that is the true representation of leadership, helping the next person and equipping the next person with the skills so that they can then upskill the next person. Just to have that ripple effect whereby we can basically speed up the process of us advancing our leadership skills, because with leadership it also requires you learning from other people. You don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you need to leverage off certain people, sometimes people who are even senior than you, who have more experience, because they know more than you. So that's what it looks like for me.
And tell us, Tinyiko, when you speak to aspiring leaders, what is it you tell them about social media? How should they go about navigating social media to build their own personal brand?
Sure. For me, social media is where it's at. It has given us access to people we never even thought, we could have access to. Social media can literally launch a career. You just need to learn, obviously, how to navigate and how to use it to your best advantage. The other thing is to obviously research on the various social media platforms that are out there, so that you can use it to the best of your ability and know what skills to apply where.
And Tinyiko, these are challenging times. So what is your advice for future leaders? What are some of the biggest challenges they should expect to encounter and overcome in their career?
I think some of the challenges personally, it's just obviously, you do experience imposter syndrome often, more often than not, especially being in an industry where you feel like initially you didn't belong. For me personally, being a finance person and then being in the IT industry, it's something totally different. So more often than not, you feel like, what, do I really belong here? Is this really a place for me? And the answer is definitely yes. The space is big enough for whatever skill, you have. And the biggest thing is to actually believe in yourself and obviously upskill yourself, read up on your industry, get to know what your industry is about. You need to be well read in order to thrive in an environment where you are not necessarily well versed in. And I think modern leaders should definitely prioritize personal development at every stage of their leadership journey, and this must be linked to the development of those that they lead.
Right. And Tinyiko, if you were to design, talking about upskilling, if you were to design a curriculum for future leaders, what are some of the new skills you would want to factor in?
Wow, I think some of the factors that I'd want to put in is obviously social media and how to utilize social media, how to position yourself in a better light using social media. And then the other thing would be some soft skills, some listening skills, because what I've realized is that, so many of us want to be leaders, and yet we lack certain skills that we don't even realize that we lack. And I think listening is a very, very important skill. And the other one is to never stop learning. So I would also put that into my course and say, you need to be learning constantly, especially in an industry where things are constantly, changing. And I really feel that, when a leader has an open line of communication, they create obviously, a bilateral channel of exchanging views and aligning themselves to learn from their subordinates. So you need to be an example for your subordinates as well. And you need to be willing to learn from anyone, not necessarily people who are high at the top, but those who report to you as well.
Right. Now, Tinyiko, as a mentor to so many future leaders, can you maybe share a success story or two of an upcoming leader that you mentored and who took your advice to heart?
Wow. Okay. So what I'll speak to is a story of one of our beneficiaries who ended up taking her skill. And so basically, I spoke to her and I told her about paying it forward, because that's my biggest thing, is taking the skill that you have learned and paying it forward for the next person and paving a way for them to better their careers. So what she then did is, she was from a village in Limpopo, and she took my advice and took her skills back home to upskill younger girls who are coming up in the village and equip them with basic coding skills. And we all know that, with the world getting so technologically advanced, coding is a skill that everybody needs, and the disadvantaged are getting left behind. So it's very important for us who have the skills to take these skills back to our hometowns and the villages, and basically make sure that we, pay it forward for the next little girl who is coming up and the next young woman who is coming up. So for me, I love that she took her skills back there, and she actually started, her own little initiative where she has a group of young ladies where she mentors and also upskills from a technical perspective.
And Tinyiko, looking back over your leadership journey and maybe your learning journey, who are some of the role models of leadership that you would recommend future leaders should learn from?
I think some of the leaders that people can learn from would be, one of them would be one of my favorites, the current CEO of Naspers, Puti. She is, I would say, a great leader, very humble, and leading such a large organization that does so much work, especially for tech startups and entrepreneurship in the country. So for me, it's just, yeah, she is definitely one of the leaders to definitely name, especially being so massive and being, a Black woman herself.
Right. And Tinyiko, how can our listeners connect with you and where should they follow you?
All right, so they can follow me on Twitter. My handle is at Tinyiko_Simbine. I am on LinkedIn. My name is Tinyiko Simbine. Yeah, those are the two social media platforms where you could find me, and then also on Instagram, Tinyiko_Simbine.
And last but not least, Tinyiko, what is your message to the millions of learners out there who are now going to complete their matric soon, who are looking to start a career? What are maybe one or two success factors that they should keep in mind?
Well, the first thing is to never give up. And the next one is to obviously believe in yourself and know that you're capable of anything that you apply your mind to. It doesn't matter what industry or what age. The biggest thing is to first believe, and then hard work will always pay off. No matter what, you need to put in the work and the effort, and it will, pay off eventually. So that's the biggest thing, because especially us as the youth, we have these big dreams and we want, instant gratification, and it doesn't really work that way. You actually need to put in that work and be patient with yourself. So for me, it's that hard work and believe in yourself, but also be patient in your journey and your growth as a leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Tinyiko, so much for sharing your insights and your wisdom into the future of leadership and reminding us that paying it forward is probably the most important leadership quality right now.
100%. Thank you so much for having me share some of my insights, Dr. Nick.
Thank you.